Deputy Speaker, I rise to speak in relation to the Justice, Integrity and Community Safety Committee Estimates hearing for 2025. The estimates process is one of Parliament's key mechanisms for examining government expenditure, performance and effectiveness. It is designed to hold the government to account for how it spends public funds, to scrutinise whether these funds are being used effectively, and to ensure that Queenslanders are receiving the services and the protections they deserve. By examining and reporting on the proposed expenditure contained in the appropriation bill, the committee assists the Parliament in its fundamental role of scrutinising the government's budgetary priorities and their delivery. This year, the appropriations examined by the committee covered the portfolio areas of three key ministers: the Attorney-General and Minister for Justice and Minister for Integrity, the Minister for Police and Emergency Services, the Minister for Youth Justice and Victim Support, and the Minister for Corrective Services. The following departments and agencies fell under the scope of our examination: Queensland Police Services, Queensland Corrective Services, Department of Justice, Department of Youth Justice and Victim Support, and the Electoral Commission of Queensland, Office of the Ombudsman, Office of the Inspector General of Emergency Management. The hearing took place on the 5th of August with 9 hours of examination allocated between 9 a.m. and 8 p.m. At the conclusion of the process, the committee recommended the proposed expenditure as detailed in the Appropriation Bill 2025 for all areas of responsibility be agreed to by the Legislative Assembly without amendment. However, that outcome tells only part of the story. One of the greatest concerns for the opposition throughout this process was simply getting clear answers to straightforward questions. Too often, ministers fail to respond directly, preferring to officiate, misdirect and bury answers under long-winded monologues that never actually address the issue at hand. A prime example came when the Minister for Youth Justice and Victim Support and Minister for Corrective Services was asked whether a young person could be locked in their cell for up to 24 hours, which she refused to answer. The Director-General was then asked the same question, and his response was, they are recorded in a system up to 2 hours, between 2 and 12 hours, and then 12 hours or more. I cannot think when a young person, even in natural disasters, has spent more than 24 hours in a cell. But the question wasn't whether anyone had been locked up for more than 24 hours. It was whether they could be locked up for 24 hours. The distinction matters, and the refusal to give a straight answer speaks volumes. During the estimate week, we witnessed a textbook display of diversion and deflection from the member for Currumbin. When asked by the member for Bulimba for clarity on night mode, whether youth offenders are locked in their cells, Minister Gerber said night mode was a local name used at the Cleveland Detention Centre, and it was correctly called separations, and then launched into a lengthy explanation of the terminology before wandering off into unrelated territory. When pressed for a simple yes or no answer on whether youth offenders can be locked in their cells for up to 24 hours, Minister Gerber claimed it was not a yes or no question. Eventually, the Director-General attempted to answer, but still failed to give a definitive response. Follow-up questions on whether these separations occurred due to staff shortages were also sidestepped and replaced with political attacks on past Labor governments. All the while, Minister Gerber was supported by interjections from the LNP colleagues. The Australian Workers' Union Queensland Branch Secretary has stated there has been over 300 staff shortages incidents at the Cleveland Youth Detention Centre since the start of 2025.